The forgotten DNA sample, the laboratory was silent, except for the faint hum of machines. A single man stood there, his tired eyes glowing in the reflection of the blue screens. He was Dr. Adrian Cole, a scientist who had spent most of his life chasing secrets hidden in the universe. His work had cost him everything: his family, his friends, and even his place in the scientific community. Yet he remained, searching for something greater than himself. One night, while exploring an abandoned alien facility buried under the ice of Europa, he found a capsule. It was small, cracked, and covered with layers of frost, but inside was something extraordinary. A vial carrying strands of alien DNA, preserved for centuries. The frozen sample seemed fragile, yet it pulsed faintly with a strange light. Adrian's hands trembled as he carried it back to his private lab. His heart raced with both fear and wonder. He had studied many alien ruins before, but never anything alive. The thought consumed him. Could he bring back a being that no longer existed? Could he rewrite extinction itself? The chamber was prepared. He placed the DNA inside a regenerative pod. The machine came alive with a low hum, lights flickering across its surface. Tubes hissed, chemicals swirled, and holographic screens projected complex data. The numbers shifted so fast he could hardly follow. Hours turned into days, and Adrian barely slept. He recorded every stage, whispering to himself as though the frozen strand could hear him. "You are not forgotten, not anymore," he said softly. His voice was a mixture of obsession and hope. At first, the DNA resisted, refusing to bond with the artificial proteins he created. But Adrian pushed harder, rewriting sequences, adjusting energy levels. His hands shook from exhaustion. But his mind was sharper than ever. Failure meant losing the only chance to bring this alien soul back into existence. Then something happened. The chamber pulsed with a glow, and strands of tissue began to knit together. Cells divided, forming patterns unseen by human eyes. A skeletal frame appeared, delicate yet strong. It looked almost human, but carried an elegance beyond earthly design. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. A being was taking shape from nothing but dust and memory. A miracle built from forgotten code. Days later, flesh formed, pale and luminous. Hair like silver threads spread across the figure's head. Her chest moved faintly, as if preparing for a breath that had not yet come. Adrian placed his hand on the glass of the chamber, whispering again, "You are almost here." But behind his awe was a shadow of fear. He did not know what kind of being he was awakening. Would she be friend or foe? Would she even understand what he had done? He was tampering with laws that nature itself had written, and he knew the universe did not forgive easily. As the final stages completed, Adrian's lab filled with a strange hum. The energy in the air felt alive, as though reality itself was bending. His monitors screamed warnings, numbers flashing red. The DNA carried something more than life. It carried power, a power that humans had never touched. Adrian backed away slightly, yet his eyes never left the chamber. Inside, the figure twitched. Her fingers moved, her chest rose slowly, and then it happened. The girl opened her eyes. They glowed faintly, like distant stars reflected in water. Her gaze was sharp, filled with confusion, pain, and something ancient. Adrian felt his legs weaken as he realized what he had done. He had not just revived the body. He had brought back the last memory of a lost world. The alien girl pressed her hand weakly against the glass. Her lips moved, whispering sounds that were not human. Her voice was soft yet echoed with a strange resonance. Adrian could not understand her words, but he understood the meaning. She was alive, and she was afraid. The scientist stood frozen, his mind torn between fear and triumph. His dream had come true, but his heart raced with dread. What if others found out? What if this girl was hunted like her people before her? In that moment, the lab felt smaller, the silence heavier. Adrian knew he had opened a door that could never be closed again. The forgotten DNA had spoken, and from it, a new story had begun. Asterisk. The first breath, the girl's chest rose slowly, her fragile lungs drawing in air for the very first time. A sound escaped her lips, a trembling breath that filled the silent lab with a strange weight. The hum of machines faded into the background, for Adrian could hear only the rhythm of her fragile heartbeat, steady yet uncertain. Her eyes glowed faintly, twin sparks of silver light that pierced through the thick glass of the regeneration pod. She looked around with sharp, confused movements, her gaze falling on the human scientist who had given her life. For a moment, Adrian felt as if she were not just looking at him, but into him, through him, peeling away his thoughts and fears. Pod doors hissed open, releasing a wave of cold air. The girl stumbled forward, her body weak, yet every motion carried a strange grace. Her hair spilled over her shoulders like threads of moonlight. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if the stars themselves had left their mark upon her. Adrian rushed to her side, his hands trembling as he held her before she collapsed. "Careful," he whispered, though he doubted she understood his words. She trembled against him, her breathing rapid, her eyes darting to every corner of the lab as if searching for shadows only she could see. She whispered something soft, broken syllables, in a language he did not know. It was music and sorrow mixed together. Her voice echoed unnaturally, as though more than one presence spoke through her. Adrian felt the hair on his arms rise. He had not just created life, he had awakened something ancient. The girl pulled back from him, her expression filled with fear. She pressed a hand to her chest, looking at the strange place she found herself in. Her eyes narrowed as if she remembered something terrible. Suddenly, images began to flood her mind, flashes of ruined skies, burning cities, a world torn apart. She staggered, clutching her head, her voice breaking into cries that Adrian could not understand. The scientist quickly adjusted his console, scanning her vitals. Her heart rate spiked, her brain waves surged. It was not just the trauma of awakening she was remembering. The DNA carried more than her body. It carried fragments of her lost world, memories etched into every cell. Adrian whispered softly, "You are safe here. I will not hurt you." He repeated the words slowly, hoping she would catch even a trace of meaning. The girl stared at him with wide, distrustful eyes, but her trembling slowed. She tilted her head slightly, as though she recognized the kindness in his tone if not the words themselves. Then, she spoke again, one word clearer this time. Her lips moved carefully. "Where?" Adrian's heart pounded. She had formed a human word. Her voice was fragile, cracked, yet her eyes demanded an answer. He swallowed, his throat dry. "Earth, this is Earth." The word meant nothing to her. He could see it in her empty stare. But the sound of his calm voice seemed to anchor her. She blinked slowly, her breathing steadying. Adrian guided her to a chair, wrapping a thermal blanket around her shivering frame. She stared at the glowing lights of his machines, her hand reaching out as if the blinking codes and graphs were somehow familiar. She whispered again in her alien tongue, her voice trembling with both wonder and sorrow. Minutes passed in heavy silence, broken only by her soft breaths. Then her eyes snapped toward the ceiling, as though she had heard something Adrian could not. Her pupils widened, her skin glowed faintly brighter. She whispered in her strange language. The sound carried fear, urgency, and a warning. Adrian frowned, glancing at his monitors, but nothing unusual appeared. Still, the girl's reaction chilled him. She pressed her hand against his, her fingers cold, her grip desperate. Her glowing eyes locked on his face as if begging him to understand. And then, the lab's power flickered. Lights dimmed. Alarms gave a faint warning tone. Adrian's pulse spiked. Was it a malfunction or something else? He remembered her sudden fear, the way she spoke of whoever destroyed her people. Could they have sensed her return? The girl clung tighter to his arm, her voice breaking into a cry that echoed through the lab. It was not only fear, it was recognition. Adrian's stomach twisted. He had revived her, but in doing so, had he also awakened the enemies who hunted her people? The hum of the machines grew louder, screens filled with distorted signals. Strange alien symbols flickered briefly across the monitor symbols Adrian had never programmed. It was as though her very presence was rewriting reality around her. Adrian forced himself to stay calm. His life's work had reached its peak, but the danger had only begun. He looked at her trembling figure, her eyes full of sorrow and terror, and whispered, "You are not alone anymore. Whatever is coming, we face it together." The girl's glowing eyes shimmered with tears. She did not understand his words completely, but she understood the meaning behind them. For the first time, she did not pull away. Instead, she rested her head lightly against his chest, her fragile body shaking as if she carried the weight of entire worlds. And somewhere far above, beyond the skies of Earth, a signal pulsed into the dark, carrying her existence across the stars. Memories of a lost world. The girl's eyes closed, but her body trembled as if lightning coursed through her veins. Adrian held her steady, afraid she might collapse again. Her breathing grew uneven, her lips moving in whispers that sounded more like chants than words. The glow on her skin flickered in pulses, like a heartbeat struggling against time. Then it began, images not on the screens but in her mind, spilling into the air as though her memories were too powerful to remain hidden. Holographic fragments shimmered above her head, projecting shapes of burning skies. Broken towers and oceans turned black. Adrian stared in shock, unable to look away. The girl gasped, clutching her head. Her voice cracked as she spoke in her alien tongue, a storm of words too fast for him to follow. But even without understanding, he felt the sorrow inside them. It was the sound of a world dying, a world screaming its last breath. Adrian stepped closer, his voice soft. "Show me. Please. Show me who you are." He did not know if she understood, but her trembling slowed. Her glowing eyes opened, and for a moment, Adrian felt himself pulled inside them. He saw it through her, not with his eyes but with his soul. A planet bathed in golden light, cities stretching high into the heavens, people with silver eyes and luminous skin moving with grace. Their laughter filled the air, their voices like psalms woven into the wind. It was beauty beyond Earth, a civilization, built not only with science but with harmony. Then came the shadows, black ships tearing across the skies, vast and merciless. Fire rained upon the cities, oceans boiled, and the golden light dimmed into ash. The people screamed, fighting with weapons of light and sound. But they fell, one after another. The invaders were relentless, not seeking conquest but erasure. Adrian stumbled back, gasping. His mind reeled. He had never experienced another's memory before, yet it felt as real as his own. He clutched his chest, whispering, "God." They wiped out everything. The girl's tears ran down her cheeks, glowing faintly as though even her sorrow carried starlight. Her voice broke into a single word, repeated again and again. "Gone. Gone. Gone." Adrian's heart ached. He knelt beside her, placing his hand gently over hers. "Not gone," he whispered firmly. "You are here. That means something survived." His words were steady, but inside he felt fear clawing at him. If her people had been destroyed by such a powerful enemy, then what would stop them from returning, especially now that she was alive again? Her trembling slowed as she stared at him. Her silver eyes glimmered with questions she could not speak. Slowly, she placed her other hand over her chest, tapping twice before pointing upward. Adrian frowned, trying to understand. "Your heart. Your sky?" She nodded weakly, repeating a softer word. It sounded like home, but distorted through her alien tongue. Adrian's throat tightened. She was not only remembering her people, she was searching for them. But Adrian had seen the truth in her visions. Her people were gone, erased, their songs silenced forever. Only she remained, a fragment of a lost world trapped in human hands. Suddenly, the lab lights flickered again. Monitors flashed strange code symbols, unlike anything in human language. The girl's body convulsed as though her memories were forcing themselves into reality. Adrian rushed to stabilize her vitals. But the screens were no longer his. They belonged to her. The hologram shifted, showing not just destruction but star maps, patterns of constellations unfamiliar to him. The girl's voice grew louder, chanting syllables that vibrated through the walls. Adrian realized she was not just remembering, she was transmitting. Panic surged through him. He slammed the controls, trying to cut the signal. "Stop, please stop," he begged. But the girl's glowing eyes widened, her voice breaking into a cry of anguish. The star maps collapsed into one single image, a great black symbol, sharp and jagged like claws tearing across the universe. Then silence. The girl collapsed against him, her breathing shallow but steady, her glow dimmed. Her body exhausted from the storm of memory. Adrian held her, his hands shaking. His mind raced with the image of that black symbol. He knew instinctively it was the mark of the ones who had destroyed her people, and worse, they might now know. She had returned, Adrian whispered into the heavy silence. "What have I done?" His voice cracked, not with regret for reviving her, but with dread for the storm that was coming. The girl stirred faintly, her weak voice forming a single phrase. In broken human words, her accent was strange, her tone trembling. But Adrian understood. She whispered, "They will come." The hunters arrived. The night sky above Earth looked calm, but space itself was never silent. Beyond the reach of human eyes, shadows moved. Vast ships slid through the darkness, their hulls shaped like jagged blades. Their engines made no sound, but they pulsed with a light that seemed to eat the stars around them. They were hunters, and they had found their prey. In his underground lab, Adrian worked frantically. His hands moved across glowing screens, trying to decode the star maps that had flashed from the alien girl's memories. His mind spun with questions he could not answer. But one thing was clear, the signal she had released had reached someone, and now something was coming. The girl lay on a medical bed, her skin pale, her body weak from the visions she had projected. Yet even in weakness, her silver eyes flickered open. She whispered softly, her voice trembling, "They know. They always know." Adrian leaned closer. Who are they?" His words came out sharp, desperate. She shook her head, struggling for breath. "Destroyers, hunters of light. They follow." The lab lights dimmed again. Adrian froze. A low vibration rumbled through the ground, at first faint, then stronger. He looked at his monitors. Satellites orbiting Earth had detected massive disturbances, objects entering the system, moving fast, too fast. Adrian's stomach twisted. "No, it can't be." On the screen, giant silhouettes appeared, alien vessels breaching into Earth's skies, cloaked in shadows until the very last moment. Governments scrambled to respond. Alarms blared across command centers, but nothing inhuman. Defense systems had ever seen ships like these. The girl pushed herself upright, clutching the edge of the bed. Her glow returned faintly, like fire refusing to die. She pointed at the screens with shaking hands. "Them," she whispered, her voice filled with terror. "The ones who ended my people." Adrian felt his throat close. He stared at her, then at the ships blotting out the stars. Humanity was not ready for this. Their weapons were nothing compared to what had destroyed her entire civilization. Outside, the first ship descended silently through the clouds. Its sheer size made skyscrapers look like toys. The air shook, birds scattered, and humans below watched in frozen horror. The craft emitted no fire, no explosion. It simply arrived, like a predator entering the cage of its prey. Inside his lab, Adrian's hands shook. He reached for the emergency shields, locking the lab in layers of steel and energy barriers. "We have to hide you," he said quickly, his voice low but urgent. "They came for you, not us. If they find you..." But the girl grabbed his wrist, her grip surprisingly strong. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. "No," she whispered firmly. "If they find me, they end you too." Adrian froze. The truth hit him like a blade. These hunters did not leave survivors. If they knew she lived, they would destroy Earth as they had destroyed her world. The ground shook again, louder this time. Adrian checked his monitors. Government jets had scrambled. Missiles launched, but the alien ships moved effortlessly. Missiles dissolved in midair before even reaching them. Fighters lost control and fell like broken birds. Humanity was striking shadows with sticks. The girl stood, her legs weak but her voice steady. "We must run," she whispered. "Run before they see." But even as she spoke, the largest ship turned, its black hull reflecting faint light. A beam of crimson energy swept across the ground, scanning, searching. The signal from her DNA had called them, and now they hunted not the planet, but her. Adrian felt sweat on his forehead. His instincts screamed to run, but where? No place on Earth could hide from ships that crossed galaxies. He glanced at the girl. She was fragile, but in her he saw something else: defiance. "Can you fight them?" he asked, his voice cracked with both fear and hope. She shook her head slowly. "Not yet," she whispered. "But in me. In my blood are keys, memories of weapons, of power." Her words struck him like lightning. If her DNA carried not just her life, but fragments of her people's knowledge, then maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. But the ship above shifted. Again, the scanning beam sliding closer to his lab. The walls groaned under its pressure, sparks flying from the machines. Adrian rushed to the consoles, his fingers flying, activating cloaking fields and false signals. The lab's systems screamed warnings. "Detection imminent." The girl stumbled forward, her hand pressed against the glass window. Her voice cracked into a whisper. "They are here." The beam passed overhead. The lab trembled. For a moment, everything seemed still. Then silence. Adrian held his breath. His heart pounded. Had they escaped detection? Or was this just the beginning? The girl turned her glowing eyes toward him, and for the first time, he saw not just fear but resolve. "We cannot hide forever," she said softly, her words broken but clear. "We must prepare, or Earth will fall like my home." Adrian swallowed hard. He had spent his life chasing mysteries, but now he stood at the edge of humanity's survival. He looked at the alien girl, the last of her kind, and whispered, "Then we fight." And above the Earth, the hunters waited, silent and patient, like predators circling wounded prey. Trust between two worlds. The lab was quiet again. But the silence was heavy. It was the silence of fear, of waiting, of knowing the hunters were circling above. Adrian sat at his console, staring at the flickering screens. His mind raced, searching for answers. Yet every calculation ended the same way: humanity could not win, not with their weapons, not with their armies. Across the room, the alien girl sat wrapped in a blanket. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. She looked weak, her body still recovering, but her gaze was sharp. She watched Adrian carefully, as if studying his every movement. He could feel it: her mistrust, her hesitation, and her grief. Adrian turned to her, his voice soft. "If we are going to survive this, I need your help." She tilted her head, not understanding all his words, but the meaning was clear. He placed his hand on his chest, then pointed to her. "Together." The girl blinked, her lips parting slightly. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she placed her hand on her chest and repeated, "Together." The word was rough, broken in her accent, but it carried weight. Something shifted between them. Adrian guided her toward the console. "Your DNA," he whispered, pointing to the glowing sequence on the screen. "It holds something, knowledge." The girl leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. She touched the screen with delicate fingers, and suddenly the code shifted, as if responding to her presence. Adrian gasped. His machines had struggled to decode the alien strands for days, but her single touch made the data flow like water. Holograms unfolded above them, schematics of weapons, star maps, energy fields, memories of a dead civilization encoded in her very blood. The girl's eyes widened. She whispered. In her language, her tone filled with awe and sorrow. She turned to Adrian, pressing her hand against her chest again. "My people gave me Adrian's throat tightened. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a vessel. Her creators had hidden the legacy of their race inside her, hoping that one day it would awaken. But as the images unfolded, Adrian noticed something. The weapons were not like human machines. They were alive, woven from light and matter, bound by harmony rather than destruction. Humans built tools of war, but her people had built instruments of survival. The difference was staggering. The girl studied him, her glowing eyes searching his face. She could sense his doubt, his fear. Slowly, she placed her hand on his. Her touch was cold but steady. "Trust," she said softly. It was not just a word, it was a plea. Adrian met her gaze. His voice shook. "I trust you." And for the first time, he meant it. Hours passed as they worked side by side. She spoke broken words. He guessed meanings. Together, they pieced fragments of knowledge. Each code revealed more shields that bent light, weapons powered by resonance, ships that could slip between stars. Humanity had never dreamed of such things, but here they were, hidden in the veins of one fragile girl. Yet unlocking the secrets came at a price. Each time she touched the console, her body weakened, her breath grew shallow, her glow flickered. Adrian's heart clenched every time she swayed. He rushed to support her, whispering, "Stop, rest. You don't have to push yourself." But she shook her head, her voice firm though her body trembled. "No time." She looked upward, as if she could still feel the hunters above, waiting, circling. "If we wait, Earth ends." Her determination burned brighter than her glow. Adrian realized she carried not only her people's memories, but their will. She would not let another world fall, not while she lived. As dawn broke above ground, the first whispers of panic spread across the earth. Cities had seen the ships, governments denied it at first. But the truth could not be hidden. People looked to the skies with fear, praying for protection that did not exist. In the lab, Adrian and the girl worked tirelessly. He could feel the weight of humanity pressing down on his shoulders. For the first time he understood, he was not just a scientist anymore, he was a guardian. The only one standing between survival and extinction. And beside him stood a girl who had lost everything, yet still chose to fight. That night, as exhaustion claimed him, Adrian sat beside her. He watched her as she slept, her glow soft, her breathing slow. He whispered into the silence, "I don't know if we can win, but I swear I won't let you face them alone." The girl stirred slightly, as if she had heard him even in her dreams. Her hand shifted, brushing against his. She whispered one word, fragile but clear, "Promise." Adrian closed his eyes, his heart heavy, his voice steady. "Promise." And outside, above the sleeping world, the hunters remained, patient and unyielding, waiting for the moment to strike. Asterisk, the battle for survival. The first strike came at dawn. The sky over Earth split apart with fire. Cities across the world woke to a sight no human had ever imagined, giant ships descending like shadows that ate the sun. Their hulls glowed with red veins of power, pulsing like the heartbeat of a monster. Sirens wailed. Governments launched their defenses. Fighter jets rose. Missiles streaked through the sky. But the hunters did not even flinch. The missiles burned into ash before touching their armor. Jets were torn apart by invisible waves. Their pilots never stood a chance. Humanity's strongest weapons were like sticks thrown at giants, deep underground. Adrian watched in horror as the monitors filled with reports. Entire fleets destroyed in minutes. Panic spread faster than fire. Earth was breaking. And yet in the middle of the chaos, the alien girl stood calm. Her silver eyes glowed brighter than ever. "They are here for me," she whispered, her voice steady. "But they will take all. They always take all." Adrian's fists clenched. His voice cracked. "Then we stop them, somehow." He turned to the console, activating the alien codes they had unlocked together. The lab transformed. Machines hummed with power beyond human design. Holographic shields expanded around the base, bending light until the building vanished from detection. Girl stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly. She pressed her palms against the control field, and the alien codes surged, merging with the human systems. For a moment, the machines trembled as if rejecting her. Then they obeyed. The lab became something new, not human, not alien, but both, above ground. The first hunter ship began scanning. Its crimson beam swept across the land, searching. The shield wavered under its pressure, sparks flying across Adrian's screens. "It's not enough," he muttered, sweat dripping down his face. "We need more power." The girl closed her eyes. Her body glowed brighter, stronger. Her energy poured into the shield. Her voice rose in a chant, ancient words from her lost people. The shield pulsed, growing denser. The scanning beam cracked against it like waves breaking on stone. For the first time, the hunters were resisted. Adrian stared at her, his heart pounding. She was no longer just a fragile survivor. She was a bridge between worlds, and together, they had made something humanity had never seen, a defense that even the hunters struggled to pierce. But defense was not enough. Adrian's gaze shifted to the alien schematics glowing above them. Weapons of resonance, tools of survival. He whispered, "If this works, we can fight back." He began constructing the first prototype, a resonance cannon powered by both alien energy and human design. Wires sparked, energy fields twisted. The lab shook under the strain. The girl stumbled but did not stop, her glow pouring into the core. Together, they forged a weapon meant for giants. Then the sky roared. The largest ship descended lower, its crimson eyes focused on their shield. It fired. A beam of pure destruction cut across the land, mountains split. Rivers boiled, the shield cracked, groaning under the weight. Alarm screamed. Adrian shouted, "Now!" The girl opened her eyes, silver fire blazing. Adrian triggered the cannon. A blast of white resonance tore through the sky. It met the crimson beam head-on. For a moment, silence. Then the world shook as light exploded across the heavens. The Pendi Hunter's beam fractured, shards of red energy scattering like shattered glass. The giant ship shuddered. Its hull burned with cracks. The world held its breath. And then, for the first time in history, a hunter ship fell. It crashed into the ocean with a roar that shook continents. Waves rose like walls. The earth trembled. Humanity stared in disbelief. They had seen the impossible. An alien invader struck down. Adrian collapsed against the console, gasping. His hands burned, his body exhausted. But his eyes were wide with something new, hope. The girl staggered beside him, her glow dim but her eyes fierce. "They can bleed," Adrian whispered, his voice trembling. "They can be hurt." But the victory was short. Above, the remaining ships shifted. Their crimson glow grew darker, stronger. They had seen what happened, and now they came together. Dozens of beams lit the sky, crossing over one another like a net of fire. The shield cracked again. The resonance cannon overloaded. Adrian's monitors screamed warnings. The girl clutched his arm, her voice shaking. "Not enough." "Too many," Adrian's heart pounded. He looked at her, his voice desperate. "Then we push further. What else is inside you? What else did your people leave?" The girl closed her eyes, her lips moved in broken words. "A key, but cost. Heavy cost." Adrian held her shoulders. "Then we pay it, together." Her silver eyes opened, shimmering with both sorrow and resolve. She nodded slowly, pressing her hands to the core again. Her body trembled violently. Her glow turned blinding. The machine screamed, energy pouring through circuits never meant to hold it. Above, the hunters fired again. Their beams cut the sky. But this time the shield did not break it. Roared back, the earth glowed with alien light, a living barrier that defied the darkness. Adrian shouted over the chaos, his voice hoarse, "This is our world, you will not take it." And for the first time, the hunters hesitated. Their silent patience cracked. For the first time, they faced resistance not from machines, but from unity, human hands and alien memory bound together. The battle had only begun. A new dawn. The earth shook beneath the weight of battle. Above the skies, Alien fire clashed with light born from a forgotten world. For hours the hunters rained destruction, their beams cutting mountains and boiling oceans, but the shield of resonance held. Fueled by the fragile bond between one human and one alien girl, Adrian's hands bled from the console, his voice hoarse from shouting commands. The machines sparked around him, struggling to survive the storm, yet he did not stop. He could not stop. Beside him, the alien girl glowed like a star, her energy pouring into the core. Every breath was pain for her, every heartbeat a war against her limits. But her silver eyes never wavered. At last, the hunters pulled back. Their ships scarred, their beams fractured. One had fallen into the sea, another drifted in ruin across orbit. They had not been defeated completely, but they had been stopped. For the first time in countless ages, the hunters hesitated. Silence fell, the sky cleared, and for the first time in days, Earth saw the sun again. Humanity looked upward, bruised and broken, yet alive across cities. People stared at the heavens not with despair, but with awe. They had survived, and survival was victory. In the underground lab, Adrian collapsed to his knees, his chest heaved. With exhaustion, his vision blurred. He had given everything he could, yet even through his weakness, he looked at the girl. She was still standing, barely, her glow flickering faintly like a candle in the wind. She swayed, nearly falling, but Adrian caught her, his arms wrapped around her fragile frame. "You did it," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You saved us." The girl shook her head slowly, her voice soft. "We saved." Her body was weak, almost broken, but her words carried strength. She was no longer just a survivor, no longer just a memory of a lost race. She was part of something new, a bridge between two worlds. Adrian placed her gently on the bed. He checked her vitals, every number red, every alarm warning him that her body could not sustain much more. His chest ached with fear. "Rest, please. I'll take care of the rest." She reached out with a trembling hand, touching his cheek. Her glowing eyes met his. "Promise," she whispered. Adrian closed his eyes, his voice steady even through his tears. "Promise." Above, the hunters drifted, wounded but watching. They did not vanish. They did not surrender. They waited, silent and patient. They had seen something new on this small blue planet, a resistance, born from unity. And though they pulled back, Adrian knew the war was far from over. Days passed. Humanity began to rise again. The world had changed. The governments that once denied the stars now looked to them with fear and preparation. Rumors spread of the battle, of the glowing shield, of a light that had struck down a giant ship. Some called it a miracle. Others whispered it was the dawn of something greater. In the quiet of his lab, Adrian worked beside the girl. Together they studied the remaining codes hidden in her DNA, secrets of a lost people waiting to be awakened. Each fragment revealed more technology that could reshape worlds, knowledge that could heal or destroy, and Adrian knew they had a choice. They could use it to prepare for war, or they could use it to rebuild, to forge a future where Earth was no longer prey, but equal among the stars. The girl healed slowly. Her glow returned, softer now. Not the burning blaze of battle, but a calm light. She spoke more human words each day, her broken sentences piecing together into fragile bridges of trust. And though her eyes still carried sorrow, they now carried hope too. One evening, as they stood outside beneath the open sky, Adrian looked upward with her. The stars stretched endlessly, each one a promise, each one a warning. He whispered softly, "We are not alone, not anymore." The girl nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight, her voice clear though soft. Together, and in that word lay the truth. Humanity was no longer walking its path alone. A bond had been forged in fire and blood, a bond that carried both burden and hope. The hunters would return, Adrian knew. The girl knew it. The universe was vast, and shadows moved within it. But now Earth had a chance born from trust, sacrifice, and a promise made between two souls who should never have met. As the sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky gold, Adrian stood beside the alien girl, their world scarred but alive, their future uncertain but open, and so began a new dawn.